You guys, welcome to an all new week of So Bad It's Good. This is your pal Ryan coming at you. It has been a week. I have been on a cruise in Alaska with my family, and I have made it back in one piece, and I am ready to dive into everything that I've missed. I feel like it's been a year. Honestly, I feel like it's been a decade. I never realized how addicted to podcasting I was until I couldn't do it on this ship. The turns out when you pay for a Wi-Fi package, they don't really mean good Wi-Fi. So I could not release episodes. So the last you heard from me was the Christian Doty interview last Monday, which it took me 12 hours to get that out on the cruise ship. So I realized pretty quickly that I couldn't put out new episodes. Not that anybody needs I put out so many flipping. I literally got over. I think somebody was celebrating their like 500th episode or something, and I was like, I think we're at like 800. It is insane how many episodes. Regardless, I am so happy to be here talking to you guys. And I feel like I've missed everything, so let's catch up. Remember, today is Sophie Ross with the Pop Culture Roundup. If you're watching this on YouTube, that's a separate video. If you are listening to this, remember there are timestamps, and you would skip right to Sophie. We had a blast. I do want to say there is a little bit of a there's like a me and Sophie talked about this afterwards. There's a little bit of time delay on her end. I think something was happening with her Wi-Fi potentially. So hopefully it's okay. Just her delayed, usually she would be laughing hysterically the moment I said something, and there was a little bit of a delay. So it's all good. But how are you guys? Are you good? Did you miss the show? Thank you so much to the people that reached out. There was like, I missed the show. And the people that I did that said that, I would be like, please come back. Please listen on Monday. Please come back. We have new things. We've got stuff to talk about. We've got guests coming back. We got interviews. We're going to recap OC this week. We got tons of stuff. So remember, we're back. We're back. We're back. Tell your friends, tell your loved ones, and gather around the hearth as a family. And let's go over to some of the pop culture stories and reality shows and all this stuff together as an internet family. So I just did an hour and 15-minute Patreon episode that summed up the entire Alaskan cruise trip. If you want to hear that, go on over to patreon.com/so bad it's good. But I will say, it was great. I'm so thankful. My mom had the best time, and she unfortunately is back. She had to go back to Mayo. They admitted her. She had some leg issues and some gathering fluid. And so she got admitted on Saturday. She's still there on Sunday night tonight. Well, now it's like Monday at 1 a.m. But she has some tests tomorrow, and hopefully she'll be able to come home after that. And then I should be down there soon. The trip itself was wildly uneventful in the sense that no dramatic thing happened, except we all ate and drank way too much. I've managed to gain more weight. My poor jeans need to be retired. I'm just like, whoa, it's the buttons, the amount of work that the buttons on my jeans are dealing with right now is I pray for my jeans, you guys. Pray right now. I'm in my comfortable basketball shorts, and but my poor, I think I'm gonna have to retire them. Do they do that, like how they raise the sports jerseys at like Staples Center and like sports arenas, where like Michael Jordan, they raise like his jersey in honor? Like I feel like my old Navy jeans need to be raised. So is there like a podcasting Hall of Fame or something? We just raise these jeans that were on the cruise. That's what the cruise is, just nonstop food, you guys. It's like they get you from the time you wake up to the time you sleep. They're like, more? Would you like more? And the thing with me is I'm always, yeah, I want more. I can't even do a podcast like shorter than 30 minutes. Of course I'm going to say I want a fucking another slice of free pizza. Are you kidding me? Tell me at a dessert bar? I don't even eat dessert. But of course, I mean, it's free. You're telling me it's free? Of course I'm going to eat the dessert. You're telling me all these martinis are free? Yeah, I'm going to drink the martinis. There is something, I said that on the Patreon. I said, these damn Kardashians, I would never survive over there because they always have those free cakes and cookies just laying around their house. And they're always in these gigantic like glass things that nobody seems to lift the lid to eat the cookies. And I'm always looking at because the show isn't really that fascinating anymore. So I'm always just like just clocking how much food they have around that nobody's eaten. I'm like, I couldn't be, if I was Scott Disick, like sometimes like Scott's like, I Chloe Joe, can I have, the cake looks amazing, Chloe, I need it. I would eat. Oh, anyways, I'm so happy to be on dry land because it's all they do is just stuff you with food. Just stuff you with food and drink. And that used to be heaven to me. And then it became like a prison by the just like I was imprisoned in shrimp cocktails and martinis and just weird desserts that I had to keep going back up for seconds because I have no self-control, folks. How was your week? Oh my God, you guys, I've been waiting for so long to do this. Okay. Okay. Are you ready? Here we go. This is signifies I'm back. Did you know Tom Sandoval was in a jacuzzi with Raquel? I haven't done my kin. Did you know sometimes? Can you believe Tom Sandoval was in a jacuzzi with Raquel? I can't believe that. You guys, Vanderpump Rules is back. Season 11 premiered last week. No, it didn't. They just started shooting season 11, and people have posted nonstop about it, so much so that it feels like the show hasn't gone away. And in fact, I was just looking at Instagram, as you do all the time, tonight, now that I have a strong Wi-Fi signal, and they are filming Sunday night even. They were at Pump because Pump is closing its doors. July 5th will be the last day of Pump as a restaurant. And I saw a little video there. I bet spoilers everywhere, you guys. Season 11, we're going to know every fucking thing out there about season 11 because we're posting everything. But I saw Lisa in her big, like, pink hat making a speech, which I only imagine can be like, Nicola Lane, I remember when me and Nicola Lane, we decorated Pump. We put up a big olive tree and it was beautiful. But also, I was like, season 11's not already out, and I'm like, too much Lisa. Like, let's get to the meat. I don't need Lisa's storyline. Don't need it. I don't need to know when she gets back on that horse. Nicola Lane, he convinced me to ride again. I'd like to ride Nicola Lane. Did you know Nicola Lane was in a jacuzzi with Raquel and Tom Sandoval? We talk a lot about Vanderpump, a little bit about Vanderpump Rules, about how annoyed we are about talking about Vanderpump Rules because Tom Sandoval now, he isn't even at filming because he's making a little coinage doing season 2 of Fox's Special Forces, like, sir, yes, sir, it's me, Private Tom Sandoval, dude. I'm ready to fucking do this for the love of God and country, dude. He's filming a reality show where they take like B and C and D level celebrities and throw them out of choppers and make them do little, they sent Tom Schwartz to Mars and they sent like Tom Sandoval to wherever they're pretending this is, like Afghanistan or something. So Tom Sandoval, I predict he's going to come back with that a shaved head. He's be like, dude, the military taught me a lot about myself. And they're like, Tom, weren't you just on a Fox reality show? Yeah, but it was about the military, dude. You don't even understand, man. So anyways, if you want spoilers, they're all over the old Instagram. We already have a scene between DJ James Kennedy and Schwartz. Schwartz, you fat fuck! I'm playing Imagine Festival again. How dare you? And then there was a scene, I guess, with Schwartz and Sheena. I'm exhausted watching this. How exhausted that cast must be. Just go like they're having to party again every night. And you think that's fun, but then you wind up on a cruise ship and it's like the buffet. You're just like, I'm just so tired of eating. Like, how can you to get dressed up that much to go out and sip like pump TDs, more pump TDs? It's gotta be a lot, but I hope we get more Ken scenes this next season, season 11, which probably won't even air for another 8 months. You guys good? Are you good? I think I checked in, but if I didn't, I hope you're good. I hope you're well. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. Now, I talked about in the Sophie Pop Culture Roundup, we were talking about that whole Kyle Mauricio stuff. So there's a Instagram account I love at Face Reality 16. You can see in her highlights all of the work she did in kind of piecing this puzzle together. And I've talked a lot of people are, I was making kind of jokes about it even though it's a serious topic, if her and Mauricio are going through something, which it really does seem like they are going through something. I did an episode right before I left a week and a half ago where I even brought up that it seems like something's going on with Kyle and Mauricio. I get back on dry land. I see all these stories like this shit. Like, something seems to really be happening. But I do want to say, I I look at everything through a darkly comedic lens, and some of that lands and some of it doesn't. And I learn as I go a lot of the times, but I do think I let's talk this out as adults. Can we do that? Can we talk? We're having fun. It's Monday. I haven't been here for a sec. So the alleged rumors that something is going on between her and Mauricio. Now, if you look at Face Reality 16, and I think Samantha Bush, Bravo historian, talked about this as well. A lot of people, and I was just looking at some stories from the Instagram account Glorified Gossip Girl that I thought was very interesting, which I might talk about here in a second. And it does seem that something is going on between Kyle Richards and Mauricio that doesn't seem, they seem to have left each other off some important dates on their Instagram. They're not liking each other's comments. There seems to be potentially some troubling things. Now, there's always been rumors. I didn't start these. There's rumors even before I started this podcast about Mauricio and potential infidelities. Now, remember, they built the agency over this last, like 5-6 year period, and it's huge right now. So that, I mean, just, he's on top of the world in terms of his career, which I was listening over the break on Alaska. I was listening to Paris Hilton's memoir, which actually was damn good. Did you guys read or listen to that? You got to listen to the audiobook because I just love the way Paris Hilton speaks to begin with. And I kind of now, like, one of my goals is to interview Paris Hilton. I never thought I would say that, but after reading the book, I was like, wow, this is actually really good. I was like, oh man, I know this is potentially a ghostwriter, but her story really is fascinating. And if you think about the history, it's like the Kardashians where people get kind of annoyed, but you think about the history of Calabasas, Hollywood, Malibu, these families, and the Hilton family is just so full of history. There's a great book, House of Hilton, that you guys should read if you haven't. But Paris Hilton, I was forgetting like some of the things, like Bethany Frankel used to be one of their nannies. And of course, Bethany was then friends with Kyle through that. But also then the Richards history, the Richards sisters and Big Kath, their mom, which we've heard so much about. They were talking about them and like the Hiltons coming together. And I forgot like what a stranglehold that, like, if you fan that out in terms of pop culture, because then Paris Hilton was talking about her best friendship with Nicole Richie growing up. And of course, Nicole Richie, Lionel Richie's daughter. There's this story she tells about them sneaking out in Vegas on like New Year's Eve when they were like 12, 13 or 14, and they get busted and their parents were upset. And, it was like, my dad, Rick, just yelled at us and said we couldn't be friends anymore. And then Nicole's, parents were mad at her too. And I just kept thinking about, like, you mean Lionel Richie? Lionel Richie, like all night long, all night, like, cause I'm easy like Sunday morning. I just can't imagine Lionel Richie like, no, Nicole, you cannot go out ever again. Like Lionel Richie laying down the law. Woo! But the book, I was just like, wow, I forgot how interconnected all of because then she was talking about being friends with Kim Kardashian and like how it's all connected. Actually the newest family that I don't think is in the book, but I just, in terms of, I would love to do a documentary between the battle for Calabasas, where it was like the Kardashians and then the Will Smith family, which, oh my God, you guys, did you see? Remind me to talk about the Jaden Smith quote about the mushrooms and the mom. We'll talk about that hopefully in a second as well. Don't worry, you guys, all new episodes this week. So just, we got to just get back into the groove, just lean into it a little bit. We're back. We got some fun interviews coming up this week. We're going to do a Real Housewives of Orange County recap on Tuesday. I know that's 4th of July, but baby, we don't, hey, just because it's America's birthday, we don't take time off for America's birthday, which, by the way, I don't want to celebrate America's birthday right now. Right? America birthday, we're family, but I'm upset at you guys. I'm upset at you, America, right now. We might talk about that, not on this one, but later. But just, I've got my eye on you, America. We've got to figure some shit out. But listen, you're old. You've seen better days. We can get, but you got to get healthy again. So Anyway, so this Paris Hilton book I was reading, I was fascinated by, you know, her aunt is Kyle Richards, and Kyle and Mauricio. That's what Mauricio used to work at Hilton in Highland. Rick Hilton owns that real estate company, and then Mauricio left and started the agency, and that kind of created a little bit of bad blood between Rick and Kathy and Mauricio and Kyle back in the day. So there had always been rumors about Mauricio stepping out, but listen, Mauricio, a very attractive dude, and also just one of those personalities, even on the show. We all love Mauricio. We love when he gets stoned. We love when he like hangs out with PK, and PK's like, "Hey, me and you, Mauricio, we're two good-looking guys out on the town, chap." We like that. So it was one of those things. There's certain guys that get away with cheating because they're just so likable. They're like, "Oh, God, you gotta come on, let him cheat a little bit." It's very different than Tom Sandoval, where you're like, "You son of a bitch." I believe, for some reason, it doesn't shock me if Mauricio did cheat. But it's weirdly, it doesn't have the same, like, I'm like, Kyle, if he did cheat, you do whatever you need to do to make yourself happy. But I'm not, I don't know, like for some reason it doesn't like surprise me or kind of affect me on an emotional DNA level like the Sandoval stuff did. Like we can't do Scandoval. I don't know what would a Macandoval, what would Mauricio's Scandoval wording be? We got to think of a title, kind of like Benifer. We need like Marie. What is like Mauricio, Choricio, Mauricio? We'll figure it out. So oh, by the way, I did read, the internet was so spotty on the open seas, but I did read one YouTube comment from somebody. I'm not supposed to read the comments, but I did. And somebody was like, "Is anybody else feel like they have or something? They have ADHD when they keeping up with Ryan?" And I'm like, "Yeah." I was like, "Well, yeah, I do have ADHD. So don't watch or listen if you have an issue. Don't be here. Like, you have a choice to not be here." But that's the joys of the internet. Anywho, so they have seemingly spent some time apart. I think they've reconciled at a certain point. Now, we will not see any of this drama, I believe, on Real Housewives of Orange County Real Housewives of Beverly Hills this upcoming season. I don't think we're going to see anything. As you know, if you watch Beverly Hills, Kyle is so protective of her image on that show. And also, Kyle is so middle of the road. She never really kind of gets into the mess. She kind of really rides both sides of the fence a lot. We saw that with like Sutton and Rinna and all this stuff. I will say this. I never thought I would say this in a million years. If any of this stuff is true, it's going to be the one that's not. Oh, I'm so ashamed to say this because I never wanted these words to come out of my mouth, you guys. Maybe we, I'm not, maybe we do need Lisa Rinna. Maybe we did need Lisa Rinna this season because Lisa Rinna would have called this shit out. Lisa Rinna would have been like, "Yes, right, you guys. Something's going on with Kyle and Mauricio." I'd fuck Mauricio. Oh man, a giant. I say, it's me, son Shrek. Kyle, if your man is cheating on you, let me open a ballet company with you because I'm on the board of 2 minor league baseball teams. I say. Wow, I haven't done Sutton's Beverly Hills voice in a while. Old friends. So there's potentially something going on. We can only speculate, but here's the deal. Some people are like, "Don't put that energy out there. All you guys talking about this, don't put that out there." I understand that, right? I get it. I've been through a divorce. I get it. I totally get it. The only thing that I want to point out as we're adults is that she has chosen to be on a reality television series. This isn't even like she's like Meghan Markle in Suits. She's on a reality television series that talks about her life. The unfortunate byproduct of these series is that it doesn't, when the season's over, we don't turn off. The fan bases are so rabid that we don't just go away. We're like, "See you in 6 months, Kyle." Like, we don't do that. Everybody keeps paying attention. And nowadays, I mean, there are internet detectives. I'm not even good at this. That's why I was throwing you over to Face Reality 16 and these other accounts because they're doing the digging. They're doing the back-breaking digital work to actually put these pieces together. But that's it, is that the show continues. Just like I just talked about Vanderpump Rules. Just because the season's over doesn't mean we are not getting every fucking picture and video known to man of what they've shot already these last couple of days. It doesn't turn off. And that is the unfortunate byproduct of being a reality television star. Now, she's gotten so many amazing things from being a reality television star. Part of the reason I think Mauricio was able to split and make the agency so successful was a little bit on the back of, Kyle's notoriety of being on a successful reality show. And I'm not even joking. I truly believe that does help. And it did help in a lot of these situations for these people. So you can't pick and choose, cherry pick when you want to be able to use your celebrity and when you want to be able to use the show, and then when you don't want to share anything with the show. And you can not share anything with the show, but like I said, the show is all consuming. The show is now 24/7. Bravo can choose whatever they want to do and whatever they want to show, but we're going to keep digging. We're going to keep talking about it. We're going to keep speculating. This isn't just with Bravo. This is with all fan bases. Like I have a friend that, will give me stories, and she will talk everything about Selena Gomez and Hailey Bieber. And will always like, oh, Selena Gomez might have unfollowed Dua Lipa and all this, but oh wait, she did actually refollow Dua Lipa. Like, she goes into the minutia of these people that she is such huge fans of, and she'll study every move they make. And that's how we are. Like, the things that we love, they're all consuming. So I understand that some of this stuff is dark, but we are going to talk about it. And there are speculation, especially with pop culture figures, have always existed. They used to exist mainly with pop singers and movie stars and TV stars. But now, the invention of reality TV happened, and then social media. There's so many different types of stars. And now these stars on social media, their whole life is showing us in their own little TV shows that they put up on TikTok and social media, all of this stuff. So everything is how open and potentially honest you can be, or how you can control the narrative. Now, I hate when housewives use the word narrative, and I hate when the Kardashians use the word narrative, but we're going to use it. We're allowed to use it. So there is speculation, but Kyle is so in control of that image. And I think she learned that from her family, Kathy Hilton being another one. And I think Kathy was very smart, even though I'll miss her on Beverly Hills, smart not to do Beverly Hills. So she has this friend, like we talk about it with Sophie in a bit. We were joking about that. Morgan Wade, who's a country music singer. Now, I'm a little confused about this. So I wanted to talk this out with you guys, because I was searching Morgan, and it seemed like she potentially was married at a certain point. And from all intents, I don't this it seems Kyle Richards became friends with this really talented country singer, Morgan Wade. I'm not a fan of country music, but I hear she's talented. We know Kyle loves country music, loves it. And has a really strong friendship with this new person over the last year, which is amazing. And I also say that it is not unheard of for somebody to get really in a close friendship with somebody when another aspect of their life is not going that well. Does that mean that they were hooking up in a Melissa Etheridge come to my window type relationship? No, it doesn't mean that at all. And I do want to be very clear that it doesn't mean that at all. That's the part where it's like, I don't give a rip. And I think that is sometimes that seems a little far-fetched to think that she is potentially in this relationship with this female country singer. And that's kind of course, weird to speculate. It's fun to joke about, because I think that's, it would be interesting to have Freddie Mellencamp jealous about that, of why not me, Kyle, I don't know, there's like certain things. But then I got information. Glorified Gossip Girl just posted this like an hour or so ago that I found very interesting about. She posted this post, and I guess Morgan Wade had an ex-girlfriend named Katie Cannon from the show Temptation Island, which I read about. She was on with another guy, but then she has this video of this Katie Cannon girl getting a tattoo with Morgan Wade back in the day. And I want to play this clip of Katie Cannon talking about her ex, and they're thinking this is Morgan Wade. I know this might be confusing for people. I'm just trying to walk us through this. So this is her, Katie Cannon, supposedly Morgan Wade's ex-girlfriend, talking about Morgan Wade at a show, and talking about somebody that she didn't want to be at their show which some people are speculating was Kyle. So listen to this.
So yesterday, my ex was in town and played a show here, and I fucking knew that this certain person was going to be at her show, but yet I had to go and fucking look. Why? Why do we do that to ourselves? Why do I do that to myself? Why do I have to look? I went and looked, and of course, like, seeing that person at my ex's show, it fucking hurts. And it's been long enough. Like, it's been way too long. Like, why do I still fucking care? It just hurts so bad, and I want it to stop hurting. Like, how do I make it stop? I've done the cord cutting meditations. I've done things.
Okay, so that was supposedly Morgan Wade's ex, Katie Cannon from Temptation Island, and she looks like she is going through it, you guys. Which I do want to make a point really quickly. I was talking about America a second ago. Is that I am one of those people, and I think hopefully a lot of us are like me, where I don't give a flip if you're gay, if you're straight, if you're bisexual. I don't care as long as you are not a hateful, outwardly hateful person. Love who you want to love. And by the way, her talking about her heartbreaking about her ex-girlfriend is just the same as me talking about my heartbreaking because of my ex-wife or me. And there's no difference. I see pain. I see exactly what that is. So I just want to put that out there as well. But also, this girl could just be jealous of Kyle and Morgan's friendship. It might not be more than just a friendship, like an intense friendship, which would actually make sense for Kyle needing that if something really is going on with Mauricio and her. Now, people are like, well, Kyle's posting with Mauricio and Aspen. That doesn't surprise me at all. They have a family. You know how long that they've been together? They've been together. They have kids together. And I do think also that there's a potential that I think there is something going on. That's just my pure speculation. I do think there is something going on. Do I think we'll ever know exactly what it is? No. Do I also think that if they are potentially separated or going through something, I think this is something that is potentially going to be fixed. I think they have such a long relationship. They have kids. They have so many things that I think they will eventually potentially reconcile. But I do think they still are going to keep up appearances. I do, but I think if you pay attention to any of Kyle's social media or anything like that, something is definitely up. So that is just my 2 cents. We talk about this more with Sophie, but we talk about it in more of kind of a joking manner. So I wanted to kind of give that new information to you. Let me know what you guys think about this, or if because I guess there's tons of like TikTok videos on this. I was kind of like not paying that close of attention to it, but I do think this is fascinating. And I'm like, man, this would be amazing because it would give Kyle a storyline, but Kyle is not that kind of person that would ever want this to be her storyline. Kyle, I think, keeps the most personal things, including her fights with Kim and Kathy, really under lock and key. And you can tell sometimes they rear their ugly head, and that's like, Kyle's like, no. And so I don't think this would ever come out in a way that would potentially be satisfying for us, the audience, which is so dark. But we always think that reality show real gold comes from true pain. We just saw that with Sandoval. But it does, we got to be honest about that. That's what we like to watch. We also like to watch silly things like Shannon Bedore saying that she has a bony vagina on last week's Real Housewives of Orange County. Also equally amazing. Okay, so I wanted to talk about that. So, okay. Woo. Getting warmed up here, you guys. Long show here. We did pump closing. Oh, you guys, if you're not on the Love Island train, what even is wrong with you? Love Island! I'm in! Love Island, you guys, is a UK dating reality competition series that they pretty much are in this villa for like, what is it, 60 days or like over the summer. And I watched it for the first time last year, where we had two amazing winners, Ekansu and Davide, the Italian stallion. And unfortunately, when I was on the open seas, I did not want this to happen in international waters when I was in Canada, but it did. Ekansu and Davide, they were the winners, and they broke up this past week. And Davide has this very strong Italian like accent, like actress, ekensu, eke, no. He's just like a Greek god. He's like ripped and built. They broke up. I might read you his statement later in the week if we have time. It was beautiful. They broke up, so I don't know if love is real anymore, but they have a whole new cast of hot young people in this villa. They stay there. They kind of get voted in and out. There's like new people that enter the villa called bombshells that are trying to meant to turn heads because they'll like couple up and just it gets addictive. At first, you don't think you're going to be into it, and then you get into it like a week, and you're like, "Wow, I can't wait to find out what's happening with Medi or what's going down with Mitch, and why does no girls like Mitch." You guys, if you're into it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you're not, I'm not doing a great job explaining what makes it so addictive, but it is. And these are like, I was saying, it's like I'm an old dude, and I'm sitting there like listening to these young 20-year-olds 23-year-olds. And I'm like, these kids know the secret to life, man. They get it. And just their accents, they're all from different areas and they're just so fun. And then the verbiage, they're like, can I pull you for a chat? Yeah. And all these guys, it's the one thing that's unifying in all reality series. And I would actually then just say life is that, men, we can't make up our minds. We can't they talk about being closed off of like, will you, be in a closed off relationship in the villa? And the guys can never get officially closed off. Be like, well, I'm still open. If a bombshell comes in, I still want to talk to him. It is so hysterical. And the girls will always like, just let this shit happen to them when you're like, yeah, no, Nicola, he's never going to close himself off. He's always going to be playing the long game. He's always going to his head's going to turn when a new bombshell comes in. People are crazy. It's so odd. I love this series so much. They just kicked off Medi, Medi is just a trip, you guys. He's a French dude, and they're all good looking, but this French dude, but he, like, everybody's like looking to snog, and snog is like making out. They call it a snog. Yeah, you have a snog. Yeah, did you get a little snog? They Medi was with this girl, and like they finally kissed her just like last week or something. Medi just did not. It was weird. I don't know. I'll get into Medi at another time. I just wanted to just talk to you about how much I love Love Island, right? I love it. And I hope some of you guys out there love it. Maybe it's too late in the season to get, we're probably like 30% through this season, but it's every night. It's 5 nights a week. Plus they have an after show. You got to really, it's not for the weak of heart reality show viewers. It's for the experienced reality show viewer. You got to really know what you're doing because you are putting in effort. And that's why Ariana had that line in Vanderpump Rules this past season of like, where Tom was like, I don't want to watch Love Island, dude, 60 episodes. And I was like, yeah, of course Sandoval doesn't, because he's not good with commitment, but it's a commitment. You have to be there. You got to catch up. Sometimes you miss an episode. You got to watch 2 in a row, but it pays off in dividends. And I think it is just a magical show. Oh my God, I'm just looking at myself. If you're watching on YouTube, I'm so tired. I have not, even though I was just like laying around eating fat all week, my beard's just falling apart, you guys. Woo! Loving it. Living the dream. So Love Island, highly recommend. We talked about the other 2 with Sophie as well. I wanted to talk about I finally got to watch the finale. It's the series finale, not even the season. They're ending the whole series. If you haven't seen the other 2, it's created by Chris Kelly and Sarah Schneider. It's on Max, what used to be called HBO Max, and now it's called Max because corporations are fucking stupid. The finale was 45 minutes, which I was all psyched about. It's one of the funniest shows, but it's got a good heart, even though it supposedly has a lot of drama in the writer's room with the creators. But it was very, did you guys watch it? The fans of it? It was very dark and sad, and there were funny moments, but it wasn't the laugh out loud, riotous, half hour that the other 2 usually is. And it was very emotional and deep, and I was just not prepared for that. But did you guys like it? If you did, let me know in the comments. Also, Below Deck Sailing Yacht, I finally got to catch up on. This Gary, he's a sly devil, and I don't trust him as far as I can throw him. This Gary hates it that Daisy is now into Colin, the engineer, the chief engineer. And Colin just seems like a good all around guy. But even Colin wakes up in this past episode last week and saying, I don't know if I can trust Gary. And I know that sounds like not him, but he's even realizing, because Gary's been his friend all these years on the sailing yacht boat. And this Gary's just addicted to attention. He's just addicted. And he's also hooking up with Mads on the boat. But he's not even just jealous about the date. He's fully having sex with another girl on the boat, but he's still in there trying to kiss Daisy, even though he knows Daisy's got a thing for Colin now. By the way, this is the clip of the show I want everybody to pull just to play for my past teachers, people that don't know what I'm doing now. Like, oh, Ryan's not well. Ryan is not well. Got it. Anyways, Below Deck Sailing Yacht, highly recommend. I wish more people were watching it because I love it, but I'm getting excited for Below Deck Australia, or Below Deck Down Under with Aisha and Captain Jason. I can't wait for that to come back. We got Welcome to Crappy Lake with Sonia and Luann coming back next week. We got the week after that, Real Housewives of New York, the season premiere of the new reboot. So that'll be interesting. Hopefully we'll be able to talk to somebody from that show on this show. Let's see here. Real Housewives of Orange County, we're going to do on Tuesday's episode. I can't wait to recap that. I think we're going to be recapping the entire season. It's been a lot of fun. I recapped the week before's episode on the pod, so check that out if you haven't. In movie news, so there was a new Indiana Jones movie that came out this weekend. Indiana Jones was a seminal movie in my life as a kid. Harrison Ford just kills it in the role of the titular Indiana Jones. There's been 5 films. Now, they are considering this a box office bomb with a $60 million domestic opening. And you're like, $60 million is a lot of money, but not according to a movie, because they're now used to like these Marvel movies making like $1 billion or $2 billion in like the opening weekend. That's not true, but a lot of money. So $60 million is not considered a box office smash. And I, have been on the open seas, but I was wanting to talk to you guys about pop culture in general and where we're at with the movies and where we really go with movies, our fandoms. And I know I'm of a certain age where these characters, like we had Michael Keaton as Batman in the Flash movie with Ezra Miller, which I'll do a story about Ezra Miller later this week. They had a statement because they got some charges dropped, which this Ezra Miller, piece of work, this person. So Michael Keaton was in the Flash movie that tanked a couple weeks ago. Now Harrison Ford, Indiana Jones, this iconic movie character, this came out $60 million. It tanked. And I started to worry, and I think I mentioned this a couple weeks ago, of these figures, even Star Wars a little bit. Star Wars, when they rebooted or added on to the franchise, started to 8 or 9 years ago when they, brought back Luke and Princess Leia and Han Solo. This nostalgia is so important to me. But then you realize nostalgia only matters to the people that were there the first time. That sometimes newer audiences, they don't give a fuck about Indiana Jones. And I had a long argument with myself about this in Alaska on the ship, because I was like, why don't they care? I care so much. Why don't they care? Why don't more people care that Michael Keaton came back as Batman? Why don't they care? And then I was like, well, the one example where people did care was last year with Top Gun Maverick. That was made a ton of money. Tom Cruise playing the Maverick, the titular character Maverick, and everybody loved it. Everybody was like, oh my God, it even got nominated for Academy Awards. Now, I then thought about this, and that of course was because it was a different time too. It was like, that was the movie that kind of brought everybody, it's okay to go to the theaters again. Like, this is big budget blockbuster movies. That's what we were based around. We're like summer blockbusters. And we lost that. We lost our way a little bit because of the pandemic. And then you have Top Gun that shows you, okay, big movies can happen again. And it was a good movie. It was well done, right? But I think if Top Gun came out now, if it came out this week, it wouldn't nearly be as successful. It would still be a great movie, but I don't think it would be nearly as successful because there was this element of come back to the movies. It's safe again. We can do this. I always think entertainment, as America has grown older, has been our greatest export. It's one of the our finest achievements is what we do in art, what we do with our music, what we do with our movies, what we do with our TV. That's one of the greatest things that America has done so amazingly well at, what we've produced in terms of art. And I'm very territorial about it because you'll see other cinema like China and things like that, as their cinemas get bigger, you're like, we got to stay in this game. It's what we do so well. But it scares me when these movies don't do as well because, you also then face your own mortality that you're getting older and, that you're like, wait, kids don't give a shit if Indiana Jones has a whip. They want people to have like laser guns. It's like, what? You're like, wait, why? I love that shit. And you're like, you mean I'm not going to see like another Knight Rider reboot, or I'm not going to see, like I'm not going to see all these things that I was nostalgic from my childhood that made me feel so good. Even though I hated those Transformers movies. Stop making the Transformers movie. I think Transformers sucks. Transformers suck my D. I do not like those Transformers movies. Bad, bad, bad. I think it was also because my parents couldn't afford Transformers for me. So I got GoBots. You remember GoBots? They were like the redheaded stepchild of like Transformer toys, GoBots. So I wanted to bring that up because I was just like, oh, and then it takes because I owe myself a date at the movies where like I want to see the Flash movie, even though I'm not a big fan of Ezra Miller, like I said, but I want to see Michael Keaton. Michael Keaton as Batman as a kid. That was like, and as a kid, I also wanted to be Michael Keaton as an actor. That was like my dream. Oh, I loved him. I wanted to be a cross between him and Tom Hanks, which I wrote a paper one time on comparing Michael Keaton and Tom Hanks to the bands REM and U2 because I thought they had very similar careers. Because Michael Keaton and Tom Hanks started off the same way in the 80s, and they were both wildly funny in these kind of subversive roles. Michael Keaton started a movie called Night Shift, directed by Ron Howard, where he played like a person that worked at a morgue with Henry Winkler, and they ended up opening a prostitution business. Sounds weird, but really funny movie. And Tom Hanks came in there with was like Bachelor Party or something, kind of like subvert, like weird, but they were both funny dudes. And then they got a little like kind of success. Tom Hanks was in Big, Michael Keaton was Batman, and then they both kind of like faltered a little bit. Tom Hanks was doing like kind of movies that didn't do well, like Bonfire of the Vanities, a string of like Dragnet, Turner and Hooch, even though Turner and Hooch is a classic. Michael Keaton took Batman and then tried to get serious. He did a movie called Clean and Sober. He did all of these like kind of experimental, more dramatic roles. And I then Tom Hanks all of a sudden shot up out of nowhere and had just the career of a lifetime all of a sudden with back to back Philadelphia, Forrest Gump, Apollo 13, all of a sudden came out of nowhere and just blew the roof off the joint. Like just blew, like just had this career revival that nobody had expected. And Tom Hanks became a juggernaut where Michael Keaton kind of stayed back again. And I always thought that the same thing at U2 and REM as bands. Like U2 just went for superstardom. And REM, out of time, that album with Losing My Religion, like U2 and REM were even in terms of popularity. And then REM kind of like kept producing great albums, but just not as didn't have the public's attention like U2's albums did. U2 was doing like stadium tours at that point. But then, of course, Michael Keaton came back and had this huge career resurgence with Birdman and all, just what an amazing, amazing actor. But I always compared those kind of two juggernauts of like REM, U2, Michael Keaton, Tom Hanks. That was just a little bit of a detour. I hope that's all right. That's what we do here. But I don't know. I was thinking about that. I was thinking about where we go with movies because movies, they have to be these kind of big blockbuster Marvel movies or, the independent film that'll kind of catch fire here and there if they're lucky. That's why the Jennifer Lawrence movie, No Hard Feelings, that came out 2 weeks ago was very important. And it did really well because it was just a mid-range budget comedy. Not, just like supposedly a really just decent, good, funny movie. And we need more of those movies to actually succeed so we can have more of those type of movies. We need that. But just like with blockbusters, though, where do we go with blockbusters? What do we do? If these old things that have brand recognition, because Indiana Jones is a brand, Michael Keaton is Batman, that's a brand. If these things don't work, where do we go? And Hollywood, I don't know if you've noticed, like a lot of things, they will never want to really think of new ideas because new is scary. New is scary. They want to think about things that were already proven successful because that's safe. Playing it safe. Tap into that nostalgia. Now, if Hollywood was like then producing just these amazing new things, I don't think I would be as worried. But sometimes I don't feel like we are. I feel like the new things has gone on to places like here, like YouTube or like podcasting or TikTok. Everybody has a movie studio in their hands now. You guys can make a movie today. It'll probably be really shitty, but you can make one with your cell phone today. And the auteurs of the 70s and the 80s, they did not have that. And I think we are at a real weird inflection point in cinema, in pop culture. Is that where do we go from here? Because, there's only a certain type of movie that seems to make money these days. And I do also feel like we have Vanderpump exhaustion. We have superhero exhaustion. Is that so? You miss one of these Marvel TV shows or movies, you feel like you're behind all of a sudden. Then it feels like homework. Then it feels unenjoyable. And then you're like, wait, I got to watch these 30 films and 8 billion series to catch up to this Ant-Man movie? Are you kidding me? Which, by the way, Kendrick from Reality and Comics too, he does a great podcast. I love Kendrick. He does a lot talking about, I believe, comic books and comic book movies, but also Housewives and I think Love Island. He did a Love Island post the other day that I loved. So just wanted to get that off my chest really quickly. Also, talking about nostalgia, I was reminded of I used to be a huge Beverly Hills 90210 fan as a kid. Not the reboot, not the reboot. I'm talking about OG 90210. Jason Priestley, Luke Perry, rest in peace. Jenny Garth, Tori Spelling, Gabrielle Carteris, Shannon Doherty, James Eckhouse. I believe he played the father Jim. Was it Jim Eckhouse? Yeah. Cindy Potter, was that the mom's name? And then Joey Tata played Nat from the Peach Pit. But I was reminded of how batshit 90210 got, because it was one of the only series that like was a high school, talking about high school kids, but then it actually continued on into college. And then in college, like all this crazy shit happened. And then all of a sudden, like Brandon and Steve opened up like a newspaper that like started winning awards. And then the Peach Pit that Nat ran, all of a sudden they had a nightclub in the back called Peach Pit After Dark. There's so many batshit storylines on that show. But as a kid, I would just eat that shit up. I'd be like, what? Because I wasn't old enough to drink or do any of that shit they were doing. I thought it was the coolest thing. They all had these sideburns, which I grew sideburns, and Brandon like saved up his money from working at the Beverly Hills Beach Club that was nowhere near Beverly Hills to like buy a Mustang, his old Stang. And it was just so I rewatched a couple of episodes when on Saturday when I hit dry land, because their episodes, certain seasons are on Amazon Prime and Hulu, and there was a season where Kelly Taylor, Jenny Garth, which by the way, I was reminded Jenny Garth was one of my first crushes. Michelle Pfeiffer, Jenny Garth. Jenny Garth thought she was the hottest. And by the way, I wonder if I could get Jenny Garth on this show just to throw compliments at her, because I had such a crush on her as Kelly Taylor. But there was the one season where the Steve was throwing a house party to make money with Casper Van Dien, the actor, and what's her name from Saved by the Bell that was on as Valerie, and they were doing it on the cheap. So there was like an electrical issue, and Kelly Taylor was in the bathroom with this. It turns out David Silver, Brian Austin Green, who then went on to marry Megan Fox and now not with Megan Fox. It was before the web. So it was like just web pages, and he was like a tech nerd. And so he put the flyer for the house party on like the forum for lesbians, I guess, and then realized and like took it off, but it's still, so mainly a bunch of lesbians showed up. I know this sounds like I'm making it up. It sounds like I'm insane. I am, but I'm not making it up. All these lesbians showed up. I don't know why I'm whispering. All these lesbians showed up. There's nothing to do with Kyle. And they showed up to the party. It was like $10 a pop. And they're like, hey, let's party. Anyways, this one girl and this couple comes in, and like the one's kind of jealous at the other. Anytime this girl looks at anybody else's way. Anyways, the bathroom upstairs is full. So Kelly's like, I know the people that run this place. I'll take you to a secret bathroom downstairs. And so she takes the lesbian girl, and they're like talking, and they wind up in this like old screening room, which the show is done so cheap. It's like, oh, this beautiful old screening room. And you only see like red curtains because they're doing it on the cheap. And you don't notice those things as a kid. You're just taken away by the magic of 90210. And then now I'm watching it older. I'm like, oh yeah, they don't even show the screening room. They're just red curtains. I could be anywhere. But anyways, it's a fire, like a soundproof room. And then like the short circuits break, raging fire. Ray, who is Donna Martin, Tori Spelling's boyfriend. Ray then turned out to be an abuser in another season. Remember Ray? Ray Pruitt from the Wrong Side of the Tracks. You know what I'm talking about. Anyways, everybody gets out, but they don't know where, like, Kelly and this girl, like, he's like, my girlfriend's in there, the jealous one girlfriend, and then they can't find her. They're locked in the screening room. They're in this bathroom, and they think they're going to die together. And I forgot, they don't die together, but the friend, Kelly's new friend that she took a shit with, ends up being burnt to a crisp, but still is still alive. Kelly only just has some burns on her ear area and her shoulder, but Brandon, her boyfriend at the time, Jason Priestley, he's out making out with Emily Valentine, the girl from the Wrong Side of the Tracks from like the first season. Remember Emily Valentine? They did the street drug Euphoria, which is a made up drug, but at the time I didn't know that, so I'd always be like, do you guys have a Euphoria? Anyways, he's making out with his Emily Valentine, cheating on his girlfriend, and he's his girlfriend's almost died in a blaze. Anyways, the next day they're at the hospital. She's burnt to the girl's burnt to a crisp, but you can see her eyes. She's like the mummy, and he's like, she's gonna need multiple skin grafts. Like, she looks like Kelly's just got like a tiny burn on her ear. It's really unfair. And then that girl that's burnt to a crisp ends up falling in love with Kelly. And then the next season, do you remember that next season where Kelly befriends a runaway that then becomes obsessed with her, like single white female, and cuts her hair like Kelly and like kidnaps her with a gun? Do you remember? Beverly Hills 90210 is the shit. And I forgot how fucking insane it was. I was watching this shit every week. My parents were letting me watch it. Now I think about it, I'm like, this is insane. I think about how insane the world is now. And then I'm like, go back and watch. I'm like, oh my God, wait, the world's always been insane. No other show was doing it like 90210, period. Don't hit me with your Melrose Place bullshit. It just, no, 90210 is the shit. And we need to go back and rewatch episodes of 90210. And this Steve Sanders, his little yellow curly hair. I always pray, like, cause I have curly hair, and I was like, oh, just don't tighten as much as Steve Sanders curly hair. Ian Ziering. Anyways, I just wanted to share that joy with you, because it was one of those things where I was like, I wonder if this holds up. And it held up. I mean, it was still so bad it's good, but it held up. It was nostalgia, and it's like, but it was hysterical. I was loving it. Oh, so good. Okay. Oh, I got so many other things to talk to you guys, but this has already gone on way too long. But I've been away a while. Okay. I do want to talk about the Smith family. I wanted to bring this up because I read this quote while I was gone, or this article, and I was like, oh, this makes so much sense. Now, I read a New York Post. This is the headline. Jaden Smith says, my mom introduced me to psychedelic drugs. And he goes on to say, he appeared at the Psychedelic Science Conference, which a friend on Instagram is going to try to get me, because she was there. And I was like, can you get me his speech? And she thinks she can get it. So hopefully, if she gets it, maybe I'll take a couple clips. He was speaking at the Psychedelic Science Conference, which I'm like, yeah, let's go. I love psychedelics. That's amazing. But he goes, I think it was my mom actually that was really the first one to make that step for the family. He went on, it was just for her. It was just her for a really, really long time. And then eventually it just trickled and evolved, and everybody found it in their own ways, talking about psychedelics. Could you imagine my mom, Becky Bailey, getting me on mushrooms? Now, listen, I think mushrooms are amazing. I have nothing bad to say about mushrooms. Nothing. And I don't even know if but nothing bad to say about them. But I will say I'm trying to choose my words carefully. That's a very interesting family, right? We've said it so many times, but Jaden and the other, I whip my hair back and forth, though. I've always thought, you ever read something and you're like, oh, this explains everything. This explains everything. But Jaden went on to say, well, actually, says Siblings can argue so much and fight so much, and Lord knows me and my siblings have done so much of that in the past. But the level of love and empathy that I can feel for them inside of the experiences and outside of the experiences has been something that's profound and beautiful. I think he's talking about being on mushrooms with them. It will actually help us to open up our minds, to get out of the old ways of thinking that got us into a lot of these arguments, and open it up so that it just releases and makes room for you to work it out and massage it out until it's completely gone. He's talking about doing the mushrooms with the family. And I was like, holy shit. Like, on a fundamental level, he's kind of right. Mushrooms do make you think differently. It can actually like open up certain universal truths to yourself, helps you think in a different way. It also makes you feel really full and weird, but also cool. But I will say, I don't know if I'd ever want to do it with my family. And it could be a really beautiful experience. But sometimes there's beautiful experiences with your family that you don't want to have. You're like, you know what? I don't think I do need that beautiful experience of doing mushrooms with my mom. I don't think I need it. I've had many other beautiful experiences. I'm sure it'd be magical. But also, my mom would probably be freaking out the whole time. Like, what the fuck is going on? My mom does not like giving up control. So that would just be bad. But also, it makes so, because there have been so many times I've turned to just strangers on the street to be like, come on, those Smith kids, something's going on. They're on something. And now I realize they probably just did mushrooms at a very young age, and it has made them very different. Like I've read interviews with Jaden Smith where I've been like, what is this kid talking about? What? Like, the self-seriousness. And then, I mean, it's amazing on one level and hysterical on another, but I just thought, I needed to share that with you. I was like, this kid is definitely on something. And now we know it's mushrooms provided by his wife, G.I. Jane herself, Jada Pinkett Smith. Chris Rock better not make any kind of joke about this as well. Also, my last pop culture of the story of the day before we get to Sophie. Remember, once again, there are timestamps. So if you want to skip ahead, you could have skipped ahead. Why are you angry at me? Jeez. This Taylor Swift, you hear about her? She's doing this big tour that's brought in literally $1 gazillion. Move over Indiana Jones. It's all Taylor Swift all the time. Everybody's like, oh, Taylor Swift can do no wrong. She was with Matty Healy potentially for a little bit from the 1975s, kind of a bad boy, a little Ray Pruitt from 90210 himself from the wrong side of the tracks. But then, she's everybody's princess, right? But now a story comes out today where I'm like, oh shit, dude, she's a monster. It's a monster. It's going to get canceled immediately. This is an article in the New York Post as well. Taylor Swift has racked up thousands in fines over trash outside New York City home. And I was like, oh my God, Matty Healy's out front of Taylor Swift's home. No. This article says Taylor Swift has got some bad blood with the city's sanitation department. Since purchasing a 3-story townhouse they fucking put her address right. That's not right. New York Post, that's true. Don't put her. Okay, write that down, Ryan. When you go to New York, you got to visit this one. Anyways, it's in Tribeca. She bought it for $18 million. Swift has been ticketed 32 times, totaling $3,010 for failing to keep the sidewalks in front of her building clean, according to city records. She's a monster. You're sending all your kids to this show? You can't even pick up in front of her $18 million pad? Okay, but don't freak out. She's worth an estimated $570 million. So she's going to be okay to pay the fine. That'd be great if she does. She's like, I refuse to pay it. But she did shake off the $200 in penalties, I guess. So that's good. But this thing, it's like, I guess you have to keep, if you have an $18 million pace, you have to keep the sidewalk in front clean. And it's been a dirty sidewalk. And she's been improperly disposing of garbage. Over the years, the unsightly stream of grime has included piles of newspapers, bottles, and cardboard, napkins and wrappers, and scattered ashtray contents, and a cigarette carton, according to the summons, and used condoms. Okay, I made up the used condoms, but everything else was true. Could you imagine? It's a bunch of used condoms, like Taylor's just throwing out used condoms, and you'd be like, oh my God, that's amazing. You're being safe. But at the same time, it's unsanitary. No. But also what I was thinking, I was like, don't you think that's just freak show fans that are just showing up and just throwing shit there? Because like people like the New York Post literally post her address in the article. Like, I don't think this is Taylor just throwing out cigarette cartons. I think it's just like fans just throwing shit in, it's a dirty, I don't know. And then they have a picture of a coffee cup just laying outside of her. It's so funny. Oh my God. Anyways, that's important news that I needed you guys to know. And there's so many other stories that I haven't covered. Let us know in the comments what you want us to cover this week. We got tons of stuff. We got tons of interviews coming out. I'm talking to somebody pretty interesting this week that I can't wait for you guys to hear. And that's it. And now coming up, if you're watching this on YouTube, it's a different video that's already out. But if not, you got Sophie Ross. You got one of the best in the biz coming at you right now. And I will talk to you on Tuesday with the Real Housewives of Orange County recap. It's great to be back, you guys. Bye.